been a strong and staunch supporter of Cape Wind when frankly lots of people on both sides saw an interest in stopping this wind project. He's always stood firm. It's going to benefit us all. And finally, when I was in the Army, there was a unit, it was over 100 years ago, ranged out west called Buffalo Soldiers. It was an African-American regiment, highly decorated, really a rich history. And the Buffalo Soldiers had a very simple motto, and a lot of Army units today use that same motto. It's deeds, not words. Deeds, not words. Every time you pass one of these guys in the street, deeds, not words. And every time I hear John McCain speak, I think about deeds, not words. His story, his actions speak so much louder to me than any pretty words ever could. And that's why I'm supporting John McCain. Thank you very much.
And finally, Jennifer.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Lee, and I live in Los Angeles, California. And I worked very hard on the Hillary Clinton campaign at the grassroots level in LA. And after June 3rd, I made the decision that I was going to be voting for Senator McCain, and I trust him. One of my biggest concerns is the war in Iraq. I'm very concerned about the women who are living there, who have fewer rights now than they did before we went in. And I trust that John McCain will do right by them, and he won't abandon them, essentially. And I also trust him that his first day in the Oval Office, he will do everything in his power to protect the country. And I trust him that he kept his promise on public financing. I think that says a lot about his integrity. And he also did a lot for global warming, and I'm very, very comfortable as a Democrat voting for John McCain. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for those statements, and now I'm sure any and all of them would be happy to take any questions you have. You may direct them at the group generally or at an individual, whatever your pleasure. May we have the first question? Yes, sir, we'll start with you.
How do any of you feel about McCain's pick for vice president?
As a Hillary supporter, I was very happy that a woman was picked. I think she has about the same amount of experience as the other presidential candidate, and she has a hell of a life story. I'm fine with it.
I'm absolutely thrilled about it because very early on, as a Hillary Clinton supporter, when we approached Senator McCain, he promised us, the Hillary Clinton supporters, that when he became president, he would appoint more women to cabinet level and high level positions than any other president in history. And we were just thrilled to see him begin to keep this promise with this vice presidential nomination.
I think it's very important that Governor Palin has been appointed or nominated to this position. We need more women in government, and we need more women in power in our country so that the issues that women talk about all the time are brought to the forefront in media and in our daily lives. When women get together and talk about things like raising children, child care, all of these things that have been kind of left out of our dialogue for a long time and treated with real seriousness and a priority. And the image of her will be very, very important for that. Thank you.
I actually have a little bit of a paper, not a paper trail, I have a broadcast trail on this because an hour before it started to trickle out that it might have been Governor Palin as the vice presidential pick of Senator McCain. I was doing a radio show in Boston and they asked me to handicap different candidates. And at the end, the name Governor Sarah Palin never came up. And I said, I don't know where this is going, but I said, I'd keep my eye on Governor Sarah Palin of Alaska. And the host, this drive time morning show, said, who's that? I said, I'm not sure it's going to be her, but she's very interesting. She's only been governor for 2 years, but had served in executive capacities before that as a mayor of a small city in Alaska, as the energy commissioner with a really significant portfolio of responsibility for regulating gas and oil production and distribution in Alaska. I said, but for 2 years, she's been chief executive of the state and has really made a profound difference. winning was difficult enough, but she really shook things up, particularly with regard to corruption and ethics. I think she's interesting. I think they might be well served to put her on. And so I feel the same way today that I did Friday morning.
And I think you had a question, sir. And then I'll come to you.
Last week in Denver, there was a lot made about the Hillary holdouts and the fissures between the Clinton supporters and the Obama supporters. Everyone that the media talked to were saying that this was massively overblown. And I just want to get your sense, if you've talked to any of your fellow Democrats since the convention, did they leave there with a lot of unity, or are there still some sort of hurt feelings out there?
Let me take this.
We all.
What's that?
We all want to say something.
Okay.
I campaigned with Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and the rest of the family a good bit in the Rust Belt states. And I was shocked at the amount of, especially women over 40, working women, who would come up and say, they're for Hillary, but if not, they're going for McCain. I don't think that's changed. I think that the convention, I was out there at the Democratic convention, everything was nice. The Clintons gave good speeches, everybody gave good speeches. But the people I have talked to since then, my barometers have not changed. Now, some of them will not vote, some of them will write Hillary in, and some of them will vote for McCain. But there's a tremendous amount of animosity towards the Obama campaign and the Democratic Party, for the reason that the Democratic Party and the Obama campaign never got it. They stood on the sidelines as there was sexism in the campaign against Hillary, and John McCain, with his choice, has shown he gets it. And there are not that many men who get it, unfortunately.
Coming from Pueblo, Colorado, a very strong Democratic county, I was active for 32 years with them. I'm still a Democrat. I haven't resigned my position. I have resigned my leadership position. However, I would say that Pueblo County is probably 48% Democrat, 20-some% Republican, and 20% Independent. Sunday, right before we flew out, we had our state fair, and we were doing registering. And the first time that we have ever seen this, we registered almost 3-to-1 Republican over Democrat, new first-time voters. Then we also saw the affiliation change from Democrat to Republican. And yes, I have gotten phone calls, I have been chastised, but a lot of my friends, my family, and you've heard the 5th generation Salazars from Colorado, we are taking a tally. And I would say that today, about 80% of my family are still Democrats. Some have already switched to Republican, but 80% of my family are going for John McCain. Thank you.
I'd like to say to the media that you have completely missed this story, because even the people who were delegates at the Democratic Convention only represented a very, very small slice of the Democratic electorate. It is very difficult as a lifelong Democrat to come out publicly and say that you're going to vote for John McCain. Those of us who've done it and who have done it early have received death threats. We have gotten death threats, we've gotten threatening phone calls, massive emails. It is not easy. And not that we are anything special up here, but we did it, and there are a lot of people who, especially women, Democratic women, who are going to vote for John McCain but don't want people to know about it. And this is a piece of the story that the media has missed. The second piece of the story is that women, Hillary Clinton's female voters over 40, have been absolutely appalled at the sexism, and somehow, you know, the media seems to get a hold of people who will say, oh, they're just going to get in line, and somehow that story comes out. Women are not going to get in line after the treatment that Hillary was given by the Democratic Party. It was a complete and total betrayal. And there are many, many, many more women and men out there who are going to vote for John McCain, but just aren't going to tell you about it.